Hello YouTube, yes, welcome to the latest instalment on my G1 Ultra Magnus restoration series. Obviously in the previous episodes you've seen the restoration of the trailer, and it's fully complete with the exception of the decals, because the decals are going to be the last thing that I apply. That's going to be the last job that I do on this thing in the final video, but the trailer's all nice and done. So now, got to move on to the cab unit. Now, the cab unit, it needs some work doing to it. Obviously, it's much of the plastic's yellowed quite a lot. You probably can't see it in this light, but it is, a lot of the plastic's yellowed quite badly. I've looked at a video on YouTube on how to dismantle a G1 Optimus Prime, and for the most part, it's fairly straightforward, with the exception of this. The axle pin that goes through the front axle. It's held on with some like collars on the outsides of the axles, and there's some bearings in the middle, some like metal bearings. I don't know how it's going to come apart. I think the grill's kind of difficult to come off as well, but I think it's slotted in between the two front pieces, so you have to basically remove the collars and then prise the hip section apart to get it pieces. But anyway, I'm going to strip this thing down to its to every single part that I can possibly do. Focus of today's video is going to be removing the decals and initial strip down. Also, I'm going to be taking some reference photos of the cab before I take it apart, so I've got some idea of what it looked like and where all the decals go and stuff like that. For reference for when I come to reassembly. So without further ado, let's get on with that. Right, so here we have the cab unit. It's all ready to go. So let's take some photographs first. Right, let's transform it real quick. Right, that's that done. Now, the next focus of this video is decal removal, so I'll just get my stuff ready for that. Right, so for decal removal, need some light fluid, like a spatula for scraping off the old decals once you've softened them up. A little cap to put your fluid into. I'm using like a little plastic tray which I can put the decals in after I take them off, and some cotton buds just to wipe stuff down. So let's make a start on that, shall we? I'll pour some stuff into there. Start with the ones on the arm. Two, just taking the decals off, just wet a cotton bud, and then soften up the glue.
Also helps to have a soft rag once you've softened the decals up to wipe them down. That's that done. And then repeat the process. Okay, and then we'll just carry on. Some of the decals might be in hard to reach places, like these ones in the legs. They're slightly recessed, so difficult to get in with your spatula tool. So if you've got some long nails, then you can get in there. And take them off. These foil decals, you can pretty much peel them off once you make a start on them. Finally, the last one. So that's all the decals off now, and just got to finish off cleaning up the residue. And okay, so there we go. Decals all removed. And there they are. Okay, so moving on to the next phase, dismantlement. Right, dismantlement. Okay, so little tray to put all the bits in. Small screwdriver with adjustable, well, interchangeable bits for different size screws. Let's make a start. I have watched a video on YouTube where somebody took apart a G1 Optimus Prime, same mould. Like I said, there's a dodgy bit with the pin that goes through there. I'm going to start by doing some of the easier bits first, like let's start with the legs. So got 3 screws on the inside of the leg. Now bear in mind there is a, oh no, there isn't a ratchet on the leg, is there? There's one on the hips. Okay, so we take that apart, 3 screws, and you've got the inner section of the leg, the outer section of the leg, the fuel tank pulls off as a separate piece. The wheels are held on with pins, obviously I'll have a go at removing them later, and then you've got the foot, which is a 2-piece assembly, which appears to be, oh no, it's not glued together, it's just stuck together. There you go, so that comes apart. So that's one leg. Let's do the other leg. And there we go, the other leg, so we'll push those bits over there. Now, the cab unit, as I understand, you make a start by undoing these 2 screws in here. And also screws on the side here. Now by removing those, you can see you separate the cab unit into 2 pieces, lower section and upper section. And then there is a screw in the back here. And then that's obviously it's kind of stuck together because it's over 30 years old. Pull that off there, take the head off, and obviously the head, there's a small screw in there. A slightly longer screwdriver. And that's the head unit dismantled. There is a little plate in the back here. And then that holds the front of the cab into place, so you can take that off. Now going back to these, once you've taken it apart, you can see that unplugs from there, and you've got an arm unit, that unplugs from there. Oh yeah, I've got to take these, oh yeah, got to unplug the centerpiece, the seat, shall we say. So there's the seat, and there's the shoulder piece, and then we're left with the arms. Now the arm has a ratchet in it, in the spring-loaded ratchet in the elbow. You can take these these shoulder pieces apart. Like so. And inside, as you can see, there is a ratchet mechanism and a kind of a spring that presses up against said ratchet mechanism, causing it to operate. Right. You've got the smokestack. It's on a rotational peg that goes there, and then you've got the shoulder joint that comes apart, and then you've got a little ratchet doohickey, and then you've got the shoulder joint, which has got a pin pressed in it, so that makes the shoulder joint. Now moving down to the elbow, 2 screws on the inside of the arm. Now, I've got to be careful here because obviously there's a spring-loaded ratchet inside. So the chrome piece that forms the headlight, or the fist for the prime, that comes out. You've got a ratchet ring that forms the elbow, the outer arm with the pawl on the inside, a spring, and the inner arm. So that's that done, and then obviously the same with the other arm. Right, now we have the legs and arms, shoulders, chest, and the seat area, and we're left with this piece. Now, this piece is troublesome because of the pin. So I'm going to have to take this pin out, and it's going to be a bit of a bugger. So we're going to have to do a little special thing for taking the pin out. Right, so yeah, got to try and knock these ferrules out at the end of the what's-it. Now I have had a go at this already. You need to have something to press against. And very careful. Can prise them off. Oh, there we go. Like I said, I'd already had a go at one of these, and you can see there's a little metal ferrule on the end of the wheel. So I've got one side off. If you look inside there, you can see there's a bearing that locates it, and there's one in the other side as well. You really need to take both of these off. This is where it gets tricky. That's not working, so I've got to try and prise that off. So I'm going to struggle with this. The one on end came off without too much hassle, but this one's proven to be difficult. Alright, well we've got one off, let's try dismantling it from here. Right, yeah, so I managed to get one of the ferrules off. As you can see there. The other one's proven to be kind of stubborn, so it's exposed these screws, so let's take them out. Now, obviously this thing's spring loaded. Okay, so we've got that piece off, and then inside you've got, yeah, a brass bearing. There's the grill piece. Yeah, so yeah, this is going to be a little bit more fun than I thought. Right, I've just been back downstairs, I've managed to get the other ferrule out, so remove the wheel, and now it should be a simple matter, just pulling this off the centerpiece. There's some fine pegs it pegs into, and then you're left with the waist joint. Now, the waist joint is, as I can tell, is a sealed unit. You've got this pin that goes through. You've got these brass bearings that have been pressed on, and I don't think you're going to get that apart. So there we go. One G1 Ultra Magnus cab unit fully stripped down.
And there we go. One G1 Ultra Magnus cab unit fully dismantled. Now the waist piece, I can't take it down any further than this because, as you can probably see, if my macro is going to work, it's got these come on. Well, anyway, it's got these pressed on brass bearings on the shaft, and I doubt whether you'll be able to get them off. They look pretty pressed on there, and you won't be able to get them off without damaging it. So that's about as far as I can get with that. But aside from that, I've got everything else off. I dismantled the arms, got all the wheels off, all the chrome bits have been removed. So yeah, it's all there. And so now the restoration on the cab unit starts in earnest. Yeah, so that's a start. Next process is going to be washing and cleaning, like I did with the trailer unit. Then I've got to treat the sun fading. Problem is, I think we've missed the hot sunny days for this year. I mean, it's fairly sunny now, but I don't know whether I'm going to be able to make use of the strong sunlight to sort out the sun fading. But apparently there is another method to doing this that I spoke to somebody at TF Nation about it, and they'd heard an alternative method. Basically, you put the stuff on it, the hydrogen peroxide gel, and then you wrap it in cling film, and then you gently heat it with a hairdryer, because apparently it's the heat that causes the chemical reaction with the hydrogen peroxide, which then lifts the discoloration from the plastic, and not the action of the ultraviolet rays. So I'm going to give that a try, see if that works. Obviously you've got to be careful, because obviously you're applying heat directly to a piece of plastic that, yes, it's hard plastic, but there's only so much it'll take before it starts melting. So you've got to be careful of that. And this is old, 30-year-old plastic. You've got to be careful. But I'll do a test piece. I'll just try a piece and see whether that method works, but we'll have to wait and see. But aside from that, that's all we're going to do for today's episode of this restoration. I'll see you next month with the next instalment. So, been me, TFR Wilderness. I'll see you next time. Ta-da.